this was a beatdown at every phase of the game. And, I mean, they just shredded. They put up 269 yards rushing, UCLA did. Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barbin. With me is Jeff Dover, and let's talk football.
We're a couple of average football fans that watch Called in NFL. We hope to earn your like and subscribe today. This is our review of the Penn State UCLA game. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, we normally wear the shirts of the teams we talk about, but UCLA wasn't in the collection, I think, for obvious reasons. But maybe
was it the 0-4 start? Didn't think we were going to be talking about them?
Yeah, did that tip you off? No, okay, so that's not my initial thought is Nico Iamaleava looked like Lamar Jackson from his prime Louisville days.
Oh, wow. Good comparison. I mean, I would say the same thing, other than the fact that, I mean, and this is, to be fair, one of my first, like, this is the most I've ever watched Nico this season, like in UCLA, and he looks big. Like, he's pretty thick. I've forgotten, like, how thick he was, so that makes him a little bit different to Lamar Jackson for me, but played like him for sure.
Well, it was the running. He ran for 3 touchdowns. He threw for 2. Now, I mean, Jesus, this was a beatdown at every phase of the game. And, I mean, they just shredded. They put up 269 yards rushing, UCLA did.
Which is ridiculous. Against Penn State, when really their strength's supposed to be their defense. So
I like how you said that, supposed to be, because it sure as hell wasn't today.
No, or against Oregon. So the first note that I have down here is that this is why, for the longest time in college football, you wouldn't make a coaching change in season. That was sort of like passé. Like, you wouldn't do that. You'd always wait to the end or something. And then recently, since it's sort of a win now type situation, more than usual, you know, you'll get people fired with like 6 games to go or early in the season. And so my note here was that this is exactly what you want to have happen if you're the administration and you made a coaching change like 3 games in, right? Because this looked like a completely different team. Like, the offense looked completely different. I was really struck by how motivated they seemed to be playing, like right out of the get-go, which isn't guaranteed when you start 0-4, you know? So that was like, hats off to them for making the change and going through with it, because this looked like a different team.
Do you think the head coach lost the team and they didn't want to play for the first head coach, and somehow it's not that they necessarily want whoever's the interim right now. It's more they just didn't want that guy. And they showed up. How about this? You're right. They showed up. Penn State no-showed.
Yeah, exactly. Penn State looked like they were playing a noon game in the West Coast as opposed to 3:30. Like, it looked like they were getting the 9 a.m. start their time and came out slow. Like, that was for sure. But just to go back to your thing about the coaching, they talked a little bit about this on the broadcast before the game started. The interim coach is a really positive person. He's going back to, like, let's have fun, let's play football, you know. And I think at this day and age, with a lot of the pressure and social media and things like that, that's probably a refreshing message, because they absolutely played like it on that game.
Yeah, they were playing loose. They're playing just aggressive, kind of free. Again, the simplest way to say it is they showed up, they put the effort in. Penn State looked like, I don't know if they were shell shocked about it or what, but it took them the better part of half the game to get sort of into this game, but then it was too late. They never closed the gap. I think UCLA was front running the game the whole game. Penn State never actually managed to tie the game even. They only got maybe within a touchdown, I think, the closest they ever got.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. UCLA showed up to play, and they weren't exactly feeding off the crowd, because that was another note that I have here, is that it looked like a library. It sounded like a library at some points, because I'm just not used to primetime games like 3:30 or 7:30 Eastern, and they pan to the crowd, and it's like half empty. You know what I mean? I'm just not used to seeing stuff like that. So again, hats off to UCLA, for the players, for the coaching staff, for showing up ready to go, because they're definitely not feeding off that crowd. So,
well, and good for the crowd who did show up, because they just saw probably the biggest upset of the season. And I like the fact that the players were all in on it, and they carried the coach off. I guess Neuheisel, who was the OC for this. Yeah, it was so much fun that that mattered to them, because you could see the team just mailing it in and not caring anymore. Instead, that type of performance, it's hard to say what happened here. Were they really that good, or was Penn State really that bad? Or I think it's a bit of both. One analyst, Bud Elliott, said it could be that they have no film on how this coach was going to call the offense. So Penn State could have been like, oh, geez, we didn't expect that. But that's still no excuse for how terrible you actually played. It can't just be that, well, it wasn't on film, so giving up 270 yards on the ground is acceptable. That's a no-show.
No, they were straight ahead running plays for the most part, like some counters, but it's really just sort of running right at it that was getting yards. And then Penn State had to adjust, and then that makes everything else open. And and then when the QB kept it, it worked every time. No, and the other thing too is that so UCLA scored first, and then there was an amazing onside kick, and then went down and got a field goal. And I think that also puts the pressure on Penn State because like this isn't their game. Like they're not built to like have a dynamic passing attack. We'll get to Drew Aller in a second, and because they're really like it's the boa constrictor. It's the good defense, run the ball, and they couldn't do that either. So
that's a really good point that you said. And I don't think you can be a national title contender, ranked 7th now, and well, not now, going into this game and whatever they were before, and not be able to catch a team if they're ahead of you. You can't be a national title contender. It's like, well, they got us off our game and we couldn't catch up. Not for a national title contender can do that. They can front run. They can catch up if they're behind. But this is I think we could say Penn State's a fraud as far as the national title. I don't think they have what it takes.
And it's so shocking for a couple of reasons. So one, this is the biggest upset statistically of the season, right? Penn State was over 24-point favorite or something like that. But it was also the whole thing from the offseason too. It's Allen and Singleton, coming back. It's Aller coming back. It's all seniors. And it was a lot of people picked to win the national championship, and it was based on the defense and the offense. And it's just so that's why it's so shocking to lose to an 0-4 team that had all kinds of controversy around them and with Nico and everything. And it's really shocking. I don't want to put it all on Franklin, but it's not good for him in terms of this team doing this.
Small game James.
Oh, man.
He can't win the big one, and apparently he can't win the ones that he's favored to. I mean, this is bad. No one expected him. I don't think anyone really expected him to beat Oregon. Like, it's not surprising that the same old thing happened. They're 1-18 against Big Ten teams that are ranked in the top 10. So 1-18. Okay, it's actually a surprise if he wins the Oregon game, not the reverse.
Yes.
You would expect him. I expected him to at least rebound and do what he normally does. He beats all the teams he's favored against, and the ones he's not, he loses. That's just basically what he does. Now add in a loss to a team he was supposed to win. I think they have Ohio State. There's no way they're beating Ohio State. With this kind of performance, there's a bunch of Big Ten teams that can beat them if they're going to no-show like this.
Yeah, and you mentioned that too about like a good team. If they get down, they don't get rattled and they can come back, which sort of reminds me of the Ohio State-Minnesota game. I didn't watch it for too long. Minnesota went up, I'm pretty sure, like 3-0, and then Ohio State crushed them. And that could have happened here. Like that could have happened where UCLA, the Penn State got a sleepy start. They're down 10-0 early, and then they could have walked away with it. But oh my goodness, they really didn't. So
no, they did not. And as far as the box score goes, so does the box score actually reflect what this game looked like? I think it kind of does. UCLA put up 446 yards. Penn State put up 350, but some of that's desperation at the end of the game. It was actually more lopsided than that, the way it looked anyways. The 280 rush yards for UCLA, that looked every bit like 280 rush yards.
Yes, it did.
And in combination or in concert with that, they held the ball for 39 minutes and 17 seconds to UCLA's 20-43. So that 100% looked like that. I mean, this was UCLA played keep away. They just ran right over them.
Yeah, no, it's a really it was a blowout, and it wasn't. Every now and then you see like a fluky blowout or a fluky upset or something like this with an unranked team and winning by 5. But this was not that. Like they outplayed them on both sides of the ball. The other note I have here is that Drew Aller looks to be the slowest running quarterback I've ever seen. Now he's not. Like he's pretty quick because people miss him and stuff, but he looks like he's running in slow motion, and it's crazy how people can't catch up with him. But anyway, it was really striking to see the running difference between Aller and Nico, because Nico looked like he was lightning fast and big.
I think it's the difference. Nico is fast and he is shifty, and
Yeah.
he has that. That's the best I've ever seen him in running in the open field. I know he did it some last year, but I had a note here thinking, have they been coaching this guy wrong, and they've been trying to force him to be a pocket QB instead of really lean into his legs and then let the throwing, almost like set up the throwing off of him running? Because if he can run, maybe not this effectively, but just more than he has been, is that actually a strategy for this offense versus trying to just go throw first and only run when you need to? Like, make it a significant part of the game, because that's what it looked like today.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. It's whatever the new offensive coordinator Neuheisel was doing really worked, because that's the best Nico's looked. It's the most comfortable he's looked, the passing game and the running game. So, and it was and again, we mentioned this earlier. I was just really impressed with the UCLA, like their players' motivation and effort. And it was apparent in like the first drive, because Nico had a quarterback run and didn't slide. He just like ran, tried to get as many yards as he could, and had to be brought down. And then one of the other UCLA, the receivers, who was like close to making the end zone and like really dove for the pylon. And it was just that you don't always get that with an 0-4 team. Like it reminds me of Louisville years ago. They were supposed to be pretty good, and they ended up being like 2-10. They lost like 8 in a row or something like that. And because they're 20-year-olds, like they do quit. Like it is possible, and the team's terrible that that they quit. And it wouldn't have been out of the realm of possibility for UCLA to do that. So again, hats off to the coaching staff and the players because they absolutely did not.
Well, and there's a moment here. They won. First of all, Penn State won the turnover battle, right?
I thought Penn State had one turnover and UCLA had none.
No, UCLA won the turnover battle. My mistake. There's a moment here where they block the kick and get and get a quick touchdown. So it's like 2 scores in a row. That looked like, oh, okay, party's over. Penn State's finally sorting it out. But even a momentum shifting play as big as that, still they just could never close the gap. And UCLA just keeps scoring. And it was the ineptitude of the Penn State defense. Like, I mean, their offense, to what we've been saying, their offense doesn't look like a quick strike offense, but if you're ranked in the top 10, that shouldn't matter. You should be able to put a comeback together if you're supposed to be this good with 2 NFL running backs, and you import three receivers. Again, we say this every week. I think it's Aller, not the receivers. I just don't think he's... Now, from our TV view, we can't see the all 22 of the field, so we can't tell if his receivers are not getting open or not getting separation, or if it's hit, or if they are and he can't see them until we do the analysis of the full film. You can't tell. So whichever one it is, the passing game is just never good enough on this team.
Yeah. No, and we said this last time, too. I don't know if you're Penn State. I don't know if you're wishing that you had Prabula again, like instead of like considering what he's doing in Missouri. So because it's just Aller looks like he's fighting it. It feels like he's not, the decision making isn't where it should be for a senior. And no, and it's really, as a Penn State fan, it'd be really frustrating to see this, because this is all the things that should not be happening on a senior laden team coming back to win the national championship, like starting slow, losing that, like it's being outrushed that bad. Like it's really, really not good. And last thing I'll say too, just about the blocked punt, that was at one point in my notes I had, when it was getting close, it was sort of deceptive because they didn't score all the points on offense. There was the block punt. And so that was one of now Aller ended up 19 for 26 for 200 yards for 2 TDs. Like, it wasn't terrible, but it never really looked like that. That's the thing. When you're just as a fan watching the game, it never looked like he was killing it,
No, and it was sort of desperation at the end. They were just the gap was always a touchdown or more. They just could never close the gap.
Here's to your point about did the box score match up. So the UCLA rushing was 280 yards. The Penn State rushing was 157. That looks exactly how the game went. But if I told you that Drew Aller passed for 200 yards and 2 TDs and Nico passed for 166 yards and 2 TDs, That didn't look like the game. It looked like Nico significantly outplayed him. Now he had all the rushing yards, so that was obviously a big part of it. But I would have guessed that Nico passed for more yards than Allard too, just watching this.
Yeah, and there's a theme with when you're front running the game that in the fourth quarter, coaches get a bit conservative. So UCLA could have maybe even been even more aggressive. But I mean, how much more can you get? 42 points. So Penn State's defense is. It's just, I don't know. It's just not good. If this team can note, this is an indictment of the whole program, the coaching staff, whatever it is. If a team can totally no-show, this is a division game. Now they have conference game. Yes. Now they have 2 conference losses. One more loss. They're not even getting into the playoffs, even on a wild card, let alone they have no chance at the Big Ten championship game. And now they're probably teetering on they have to run the table for a shot at the playoffs. If they go 9-3, that's it. They're done.
Mm-hmm. Well, last thing too, just about the coaching, and they mentioned this on the broadcast. So when they had in the fourth quarter and they had UCLA pinned deep and they went to punt it, and then the guy was just going to run around and try and waste more time and then get the free kicks so could put Penn State back like in their own end. It's like Penn State didn't realize what was happening, like because they were doing the punt safe, like they weren't rushing the punter. And no one picked up on that. And that was another like 10, 15 seconds that like at that point when you only have 25 seconds left or something, that was a really big deal. So it just looked like it was another instance where looked like they were outcoached.
Yeah, clock management. Oh, there's some clock management stuff we can talk about in some other games too.
Oh yeah, we're going to get to that.
Oh boy, are there. But yeah, it's just not, I mean, clean game from penalties. Neither team had like a lot of penalties. It was just this is just a whipping. They just kicked their ass, and that's really what it comes down to. They showed up, they played way harder, and if you give up 280 yards rushing, that's a team imposing their will on you, and there's zero excuse for what is supposed to be a top 10 team to ever give up that many yards. Even if it's another top 10 team, you should just not get run over like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, and to your point earlier about the schedule, Penn State's got at Ohio State and Indiana next, which is Indiana's ranked 8th now. So they'd have to win both those just to be in the consideration. I agree with you. It won't be enough to be in the Big Ten championship, but that'd be in the consideration for playoffs maybe. But there's some other games on here like at Iowa or against Nebraska, which I don't know if Penn State's going to win either. So there could be as many as 4 more losses on for this team. I don't know.
Well, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
After this game, you as a Penn State fan, you can have no confidence as to what is going to show up. Yeah. Is it a team that takes Oregon to overtime and could have won, or is it a team that gets completely steamrolled by 0-4 UCLA?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, no confidence there, no confidence in Franklin. This has to land on Franklin as a coach to have the team unprepared.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all it is.
And with that, the punt and also like not being the right position for the onside kick, like there's a few things that were on there, but yeah.
Yeah, he's just that was especially that last sequence where they weren't rushing and just letting the clock drain away. I thought, what is he doing? I don't remember him being known for being bad at coaching in-game decisions, but is that a thing? I know Cristobal gets ripped on that, who actually didn't do that this weekend. But is that a thing Franklin does? I thought, what is Franklin actually good at? Is it just recruiting? Like, how do you get to this point?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, they've been pretty consistent in terms of wins per season. You know, how it's happening. I don't know.
But only against teams they're favored against.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, he's Mark Richt. That's what he is.
Yeah, right. Did you get to all the points on your list?
Yeah, I think that's everything. I guess the last thing I want to say is good for UCLA. I don't know what this means for the rest of the season, but the fans who bothered to show up got a gem and probably got one of the better experiences in all of college for this year is to see their team pull off the massive upset. Yeah, no, I mean that you're absolutely right. Like that's why college football is awesome. Like if you're for those people who went they were huge underdogs. Like no one was expecting them to win. And so yeah, to have that, like all of a sudden now you got some like couple big games on your schedule. You got a game against USC at the end of the season, which I think you started 0-4 against, UNLV in New Mexico, and you're thinking we're going to get
plastered by our rivals at the end of the season. Maybe it won't now. Like all of a sudden that USC UCLA game looks like it'd be pretty interesting if this UCLA team shows up then.
Yeah, I mean, again, wild card almost okay. The final note could be wild cards on both sides. No, you can't really know what to expect from either of these teams moving forward after today.
Yeah. But if you're a UCLA fan, you want to see this team again.
Well, absolutely. And if you're Penn State, you never want to see this again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So we appreciate you being here. We know our channel's small, and we hope we earned your like and subscribe today. And so for Jeff Dover, I'm John Barbin, and that's your Saturday versus Sunday podcast.